1979, Illinois, Chicago O'Hare International Airport. The flight that came back, but the people were already dead. But their ghosts weren't. The crash of Flight 191 is not over, and perhaps it never will be. 1979, Illinois. Just after takeoff from O'Hare, a sudden roar and metallic scream tore across the runways, drawing every eye to the sky. A DC-10 lifted into the air, banking unnaturally to the left, its wing trailing a plume of smoke. Moments later, a violent orange fireball rose beyond the airport perimeter, and a black column of smoke climbed toward the clouds. In the hours that followed, the field beyond the runways fell silent, too silent. Yet the silence didn't last. Residents in the nearby mobile home park began waking to the sound of soft, deliberate knocks on their doors, sometimes gentle, sometimes frantic. When they answered, no one stood there. Dogs growled at the open air, pacing the porches, their gaze fixed on the darkened field. Drivers passing on the adjacent road swore they saw pale lights drifting low to the ground, as though someone were walking with a lantern in the pitch black. Police arrived quickly but found nothing, only the damp grass still pressed flat by the weight of wreckage. Weeks later, the stories multiplied. Groans in the night, shadows standing at the end of beds, a sudden cold that settled over rooms for no reason at all. Figures in outdated travel clothes appeared on porches, asking if they could get to their luggage, or saying they needed to catch a connecting flight. Before help could be offered, they vanished. A man walking his dog along the edge of the crash site came across another man who seemed disoriented, smelling faintly of fuel, his clothes torn as if from an impact. He asked to use a phone. The witness pointed toward a nearby booth and turned to lead the way, only to find he was suddenly alone. Inside O'Hare itself, near the gate where the doomed flight had departed, travelers have spotted a well-dressed man using a payphone. He finishes his call, walks a few steps, and disappears as though he was never there. Even years later, new tenants in the trailer park tell the same stories without knowing the history. Lights moving in the field, knocks on doors, dogs barking into the empty night. The land seems restless, as though it has been marked by something that refuses to leave. What happened on that spring day was no sudden twist of fate. Investigators would discover that weeks before the crash, maintenance crews had removed and reinstalled the left engine and pylon improperly, using a forklift to save time. The process cracked the pylon structure, and with every flight afterward, the fracture spread until, on takeoff, the engine tore free from the wing, severing hydraulic lines and damaging the wing's leading edge slats. Lift collapsed, the aircraft rolled, and in 31 seconds it was over. All 271 aboard and 2 on the ground were gone. The crash site was a landscape of violence. Charred earth, twisted aluminum, fragments embedded so deeply that the soil seemed to swallow them. Even after the debris was cleared, tiny pieces of metal and personal belongings would surface with the rain. For those who believe, this is why the dead linger. The sheer force of the event, the shock, the unfinished journeys, all imprinted on the land itself. Passengers still walking toward connections they will never make, searching for luggage that no longer exists, knocking on doors that will never open to the lives they left behind. Time has smoothed the grass, the fences have been rebuilt, but for those who have heard the knocks, seen the lights, or watched a figure vanish into thin air, the crash of Flight 191 is not over, and perhaps it never will be.